Jax Braddock had spent 217 days talking mostly to his toaster. It wasn't even a good toaster, just a busted old galley unit wired into his ship's AI core that occasionally ejected bread like it was firing torpedoes. But it listened, which already made it a better conversationalist than anyone else within 3 astronomical units. Entry log, he muttered, gnawing on a stale protein wafer. Captain Jax Braddock. Still alive. Still handsome. Possibly the last hot-blooded mammal with working tear ducts this far out. The toaster beeped like it disagreed. He floated through the cockpit of the Rust Bucket Serenade *, a salvage tug held together by hope, duct tape, and whatever the cosmic equivalent of chewing gum was. His life was a loop: scan debris fields, find nothing, argue with appliances, repeat. Even his dreams were bored. Then the scanner pinged. Not just a lonely beep, but a frantic, persistent shriek like it had spotted a celebrity streaking naked through the void. Jax shot upright, spilling crumbs into the ventilation system. "Don't tease me, darling," he whispered to the screen. "You better not be another damn ice rock." It wasn't. There, tumbling slowly against the stars, was a cryopod. Sleek. Ancient. Encrusted with centuries of space frost, its hull bore sigils he didn't recognize, curved glyphs like interlocked halos. The pod's faint golden glow pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Jax's mouth went dry. "Unknown object detected," droned the ship's AI. "Warning, highly classified. Do not approach without authorization." Authorization granted by Jax Braddock, captain, sole crew, and occasionally shirtless deity, he said, already suiting up. "Logged," said the AI. "Also, you're pathetic." He ignored that. Grappling arms snagged the pod with a hiss of magnetic locks, and the ship trembled as it reeled the relic aboard. Up close, it was gorgeous, a silver sarcophagus wrapped in filaments of gold, crystalline frost tracing delicate patterns across its surface. "Hello, beautiful," he murmured, brushing frost from a viewport. Inside lay a woman. Perfect. Ethereal. Suspended in a sleep so deep it seemed sacred. Her hair floated around her like molten sunlight trapped in water. Skin pale as starlight, lips parted slightly as if about to whisper the first word in the universe. Jax swallowed. "Well, this is new. Usually the junk I find doesn't make me want to write poetry." The ship's AI spoke again, voice dripping contempt. "Reminder. Salvage protocol dictates recovered property must be surrendered to Central Salvage Authority for cataloging and..." Yeah, Jax muttered. "And they'll catalog her straight into a vault, slap a classified sticker on her forehead, and I'll get a pat on the back and a bill for the towing fee." He stared at her. Something about her presence made the air feel warmer, like she was emitting the memory of sunlight. "Finders keepers," he said softly. "Also, illegal," said the AI. "Also, worth it," Jax replied. He placed a hand on the pod's control panel. Symbols flickered under his fingers, reconfiguring into something he could read. Starborn Dynasty Stasis Integrity. 73%, last recorded date. 2411.06.14. That was, over 3,000 years ago. "Holy void dust," he breathed. "You've been napping longer than the entire United Planetary Bureaucracy has existed. Honestly, that's impressive." He should call it in. He knew that. He could almost hear the Salvage Authority auditor lecturing him. Tampering with preserved life forms is punishable by fines, imprisonment, and being forced to attend mandatory ethics seminars. But then she stirred. Just the faintest twitch, an eyelash trembling, a ripple of breath against the frost. His heart did something reckless in his chest. The toaster beeped, as if urging him to do something idiotic. "Well," Jax said, "I suppose it'd be rude to just leave you frozen." He grinned, lopsided and slightly mad. "Besides, I've always had a weakness for women who play hard to get. You've just taken it to an extreme." "Final warning," said the AI. "This violates my loneliness," he cut in. "Override protocol. Initiate Thor." The pod hummed, soft at first, then rising into a crescendo that vibrated through the deck plates. Light blossomed inside it like a star being born. Frost cracked and fell away in slow motion. Her eyelids fluttered. Claiming salvage, Jax whispered, as if afraid the stars might overhear. A gold seal appeared on the display, * claim registered, salvager, Jax Braddock. *. Jax blinked, then smirked. Guess that makes you officially mine. The ship's AI made a sound like a sigh. Artifact registered, very hot. Jax pressed a hand to the glass, pulse thundering. Don't worry, sweetheart, he murmured. You've been frozen for centuries, but you're about to wake up to the galaxy's worst decision-maker. And for the first time in months, the void felt alive. Her eyes snapped open like blades sliding free, and the air seemed to crackle as if the pod had birthed a storm. Jax barely had time to flinch before she moved, a blur of motion, a whipcord coil of muscle springing from centuries of stillness. One moment she was inside the pod, the next she was standing, dripping frost, posture regal as a coronation statue, and glaring at him like he had committed a sacred crime. Who dares breach the vault of the Starborn dynasty? Her voice rolled out, deep and resonant, carrying the sort of authority that made Jax's spine instinctively straighten and his mouth instinctively form the words, hi. She looked him up and down like he was a defective appliance. Naked, frost still clinging to her hair, she radiated lethal elegance. Jax tried very hard not to notice that his mouth had gone dry again. I am Captain Jax Braddock, he said, attempting a bow and almost face-planting in 0G professional salvager. Amateur conversationalist. Current owner of your container thingy. Congratulations, you've been claimed. Claimed, she repeated, each syllable sharpening. You presume to seize an empress as if she were trinket debris. Well, Jax said, technically you were debris. Very pretty debris. The prettiest space junk I've ever. Okay, I'll stop. Her gaze swept the cramped salvage bay, nostrils flaring at the smell of burnt coffee and stale protein dust. This is your flagship. Don't let the peeling paint fool you, Jax said. It peels in style. She stalked past him, inspecting every corner with the air of a predator appraising an inferior ecosystem. She tapped a dangling cable with one elegant finger. Sparks fizzed. She recoiled as if it had tried to flirt. Is this vessel powered by wishful thinking? Mostly caffeine and bad decisions, Jax said. Her lips twitched, maybe with disgust, maybe the shadow of a smile. Your civilization has fallen far. That's what everyone says right before I impress them, Jax replied. She turned back to him, eyes blazing like twin novas. You will release me. I must return to my throne. Summon my fleet at once. Fleet, Jax tapped his temple theatrically. Might take a while. They're probably 3,000 years late to your last staff meeting. Her regal expression cracked, just a hair. 3,000. Give or take a few bureaucratic leaps through wormhole paperwork, Jax said gently. For a moment she stood utterly still, the weight of time visibly crashing into her like a silent avalanche. Then she drew herself taller, chin lifting. Then I will rebuild. The Starborn dynasty will rise in you. And you, her finger stabbed toward him, will serve as my first subject. Jax blinked. I don't do crowns. I barely do laundry. You will kneel, she ordered. Only recreationally, he said. Her eyes narrowed. You dare mock the Empress? Oh, constantly, Jax said. Mocking is how humans survive. That and instant noodles. Speaking of, he rummaged through a cabinet and emerged with a steaming cup. Behold, culinary majesty. She sniffed it suspiciously. What manner of sustenance is this sludge? It's noodles, he said. Food of champions and broke space truckers. She sipped. Froze. Her expression cycled from horror to awe to betrayal. It tastes of salt, and sorrow, and faint victory. Exactly, Jax said. You get it. She set the cup down with exaggerated precision, as though handling a cursed artifact. I have ingested barbarian fuel. Welcome to the future, Jax said. Her eyes swept his rumpled jumpsuit, his unshaven jaw, his ship's blinking consoles that seemed held together by spite. You are the apex of your species. I'm the cautionary tale, Jax said. The pod's embedded AI flickered to life, its voice cold and clipped. Stasis breach detected. Revival complete. Subject. Rights of salvage are currently registered to Jax Braddock. She turned on him like a warhead. Explain this salvage. Galactic law says if I find something drifting, I can claim it, Jax said, holding up the sticky note he'd slapped on her pod. It read, *mine* in big childish letters. You placed a glyph of ownership on my sarcophagus. Very official glyph, he said solemnly. Took me 2 tries to spell it. Her gaze cut like laser fire. Then she threw her head back and laughed, sharp, ringing, dangerous. Very well, barbarian. By ancient code, if you claim me, you must also protect me until my empire is restored. Protecting people isn't my strong suit, Jax said. I can barely protect sandwiches from mold. Then mold will be your first enemy, she declared. He grinned. I like your style, your majesty. Her chin tilted. You may call me Empress. I was hoping for something less formal, Jax said. Like Starshine. Or Hotness Supreme. She stared at him long enough that he wondered if she was plotting to vaporize him with sheer glare. Then, softly, you are irreverent beyond reason. Humans cope with trauma by flirting, Jax said. She blinked, ancient confusion flickering in her eyes. This is flirting. Bare minimum level, he said. Her lips curved faintly. How uncivilized. Thank you, Jax said. She folded her arms, every inch a queen even draped in a ship blanket. Very well, Captain Jax Braddock. Until my fleet's return, I accept your claim. But know this, she leaned close enough that frost melted on his collar, her voice a low purr edged with command, I will reclaim what is mine. Jax swallowed. Fair warning, I'm pretty bad at being conquered. Then consider this practice, she said, turning away, regal and devastating. And as the ship's AI muttered something about catastrophic legal liability, Jax realized he wasn't sure whether he'd just saved her, or she had just begun conquering him. Jax woke to the sound of Imperial humming, which was strange because Imperial humming had never happened aboard his ship before. Was perched on a cargo crate like a sunbeam had decided to learn arrogance, draped in a repurposed thermal sheet that somehow looked like royal regalia on her. She was tinkering with a cluster of wires, rerouting power with the casual confidence of someone who once ruled 1,000 worlds and probably micromanaged their thermostats. You've been awake for 5 hours, Jax muttered. I can tell because my ship smells faintly less like despair. She didn't glance up. Your vessel leaks energy from 17 points. I have corrected 11. The others require components you lack, possibly because your species has yet to invent competence. Harsh but accurate, Jax said. She set the tool down with surgical precision. This craft is a disgrace. And yet, her gaze swept the cramped bay with something that might have been reluctant fondness. It persists. As do you. Survival's our party trick, Jax said. We specialize in not dying when everyone assumes we should've. Her eyes flicked to him, curious. You truly believe your kind is exceptional? No, he said. I believe we're stubborn. Exceptionality's just what happens when stubbornness gets lucky. She tilted her head, studying him like an intriguing fungus. In my age, humanity was dismissed as fragile primates destined to burn themselves out. We tried, Jax admitted. Got real close a few times. Still here though. Cockroach chic. Her lips curved faintly. Your self-deprecation is either endearing or tragic. Why not both? Jax said. She rose and crossed to the viewport, watching starlight shiver on the hull. When I ruled, I believed our empire eternal. Now it is dust. Yet you, scrappy, chaotic creatures, remain. Perhaps there is power in your ridiculousness. Ridiculousness is humanity's greatest weapon, Jax said. That and opposable thumbs. She glanced at his hands. Your digits are adequate. High praise from an immortal ice queen, he said. Empress, she corrected automatically, but softer this time. He stepped beside her at the viewport. So, you planning on conquering the galaxy again? Eventually, she said. Once I reacquire ships, armies, loyal bureaucrats, and several thousand unpaid interns. Interns are the real backbone of tyranny, Jax said gravely. She ignored that. For now, I must learn this era's technologies. If I am to rebuild, I must surpass those who forgot me. You could also, Jax said carefully, not rebuild an empire. Her head snapped toward him. Not. Yeah. Try being just, you. No throne, no crown, no galactic HR department. Just a woman seeing what's out here. Her expression flickered like a glitch in starlight. You suggest I be ordinary. Not ordinary, he said. Free. She stared at him for a long moment, ancient fire wrestling something newly fragile in her gaze. Freedom was never permitted to me. Guess it's about time someone broke the rules, Jax said. She blinked, then laughed, a sound like crystal shattering in sunlight. You are dangerously persuasive for a man wearing socks with holes. They are ventilation ports, he said. Lies, she said, still laughing. She moved past him, trailing faint warmth like comet fire. Very well, Jax Braddock. Teach me your era. Show me how humans thrive in this chaos. Step 1, don't die, he said. Step 2. Complain about Step 1 while eating noodles. She considered this with regal solemnity. A curious philosophy. Also the only one we can afford, he said. Her eyes gleamed. I accept your tutelage. But beware, if your methods fail, I shall resume conquest, beginning with you. Terrifying, Jax said. Also, oddly motivating. She stopped at the hatch, glancing back. You have claimed me, Captain. But perhaps I will claim something of you as well. Hopefully not my credit rating, he said. Her smile was slow, dangerous, and dazzling. We shall see. And as she vanished down the corridor humming her imperial tune, Jax realized that somehow, impossibly, humanity might survive the Empress, but he wasn't sure he would. Her laugh was low and dark, like cosmic static over a sultry jazz station, and it echoed through the cramped salvage cabin as though it belonged there more than the oxygen. Jax was pinned in the pilot's chair by the weight of his own ego collapsing inward, trying not to stare at how she bent over the console with regal irritation. The Empress, because she insisted on being addressed as such, in full capital letters, like a force of nature, was attempting to understand a modern holomenu. She poked it with the imperial disdain of someone who had once commanded 1,000 worlds and now was losing a battle to settings, preferences, Wi-Fi. When it buzzed, she recoiled like it had propositioned her, which in a way it had. The ship's AI had adopted a purring voice ever since she'd arrived. Jax had to slap the comm panel to shut it up. You have tamed a demon of light and servitude, she declared, tilting her chin. I shall claim it as my herald. It's literally just autopilot, Jax muttered, and she raised a brow like she might order his beheading for insolence, which would be fair, considering the things he thought about whenever she stretched. She wanted to see her empire. What remained of it? He tried to explain that empires didn't exactly keep until you left them in the freezer, like space lasagna. The galaxy had shuffled on, species rose and fell, everyone got very into reality dramas for a century, and now no one remembered her name. She blinked slowly, like a cat deciding whether to swat him. Then I shall rebuild, she said. And you shall assist me, Salvager Jax, as the first of my new line. Jax almost choked on the protein bar he'd been gnawing. First what? Like, royal consort. Her smile was pure starfire. Precisely. The word hung between them, sticky as zero-G syrup. He tried to protest about schedules and ducking fees, but she waved him off as if logistics was small insects. Then she started drafting conquest plans using his lunch wrappers and a stolen lipstick, drawing orbital routes over half-chewed corners. He watched her outline the domination of half the known spiral while wearing his spare jacket and absolutely nothing else underneath, and realized he might already be conquered. When they landed on a bustling orbital bazaar to gather supplies, she swept through the docks like a comet trailing scandal. Traders froze mid-bargain as she announced herself in a voice that probably once launched planetary invasions. "Neil," she told a cargo loader. It beeped in confusion and kept rolling. She looked wounded. Jax bought her sunglasses to disguise her cosmic radiance, and she wore them like a crown anyway. She scoffed at the food stalls. "You call this spice plasma eel? It tastes like bureaucracy," then devoured 6 portions in under 3 minutes, licking the sauce from her fingers while Jax tried to remember how breathing worked. When he introduced her as a distant cousin from the super outer rim, she corrected, "I am his destined overlord and future empress of his heart." People laughed. Jax laughed louder, hoping they wouldn't notice his ears turning infrared. She collected gadgets like trophies, interrogating vendors about their primitive power cells until they offered discounts just to make her stop glaring. He caught her staring at the stars through the station viewport, quiet for once, and he wondered if she was mourning a million subjects turned to cosmic dust, or if she was just thinking how cute his shoulders looked in that jacket. Possibly both. She glanced at him and smirked, as if hearing the thought, which was impossible. Probably. The ship left the station heavier with supplies and heavier with something Jax didn't want to name. She commandeered his bed again, sprawling across it like she owned gravity, while he tried sleeping in the pilot's seat and woke with neck cramps and inappropriate dreams. She spent hours studying galactic history files, muttering about child empires and barbarian fads, while occasionally asking questions like what is a meme, and why do they all involve felines demanding authority. Then she demanded he teach her to pilot. He tried. She flew like she conquered, aggressively, flamboyantly, and with zero regard for things like collision warnings or consent from physics. The ship's AI screamed. So did Jax. She laughed, spun the vessel through a debris field, and declared herself mistress of the void. He told her to slow down. She told him to cling tighter if afraid, which he did, mostly around the armrests but somewhat emotionally. She pulled them out of the spiral in one piece, victorious and smug, while Jax checked if his heart had re-entered his body. It had, but it was beating in a weird rhythm that sounded suspiciously like her name. When she finally slept, tangled in blankets and pride, Jax watched her and thought about the claim he joked about when he found her pod, salvage rights, legal ownership, a name on a manifest. She wasn't salvage. She wasn't his. If anything, he suspected he was hers now, a prize she'd decided to keep. He wondered if she realized she didn't need an empire to be terrifyingly magnificent. He wondered if she knew she was laughing more lately, and that he lived for it. And as the ship drifted toward the next unknown star, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, being claimed wasn't such a bad fate after all.